This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Yeah, the biggest AI feature this week was the world's new most powerful model, Anthropic Claude's Fable 5 of the Mythos family. But while you were squeezing out as many prompts as possible until it goes away on June 22nd, there were some other under-the-radar AI updates to other large language models and AI tools that you probably use every single day. Like, did you know that you can actually send emails in ChatGPT now? Or that Microsoft Copilot has a multi-agent group of advisors who will work on a problem together for you? Or that Google released a new model that can translate any spoken word live, even in your browser. So yeah, if you get too focused on one big model release, you might miss a handful of other useful AI features that make your day-to-day workflow much easier. But it's pretty much impossible to spend hours a day combing through release change logs, Twitter accounts, and YouTube videos to understand and test what's new. That's why I do it for you all week and then break it down for you on Fridays with our new Friday Features series. So welcome. Let's get into it. So here's what you need to know today. On today's show, you're going to learn why Microsoft isn't even using Claude's new model and why your company might want to sit it out as well. You're going to learn how a new Google AI model might change how the world communicates and the new AI update that allows you to send email from a chatbot without leaving. All right. Welcome to Everyday AI. Let's get into it. My name is Jordan Wilson, and this thing's for you. It's a daily, unedited, unscripted live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping business leaders like you and me not just keep up with everything that's happening in the world of AI, but how we can actually use all this information to get ahead, to grow our companies and our careers. So if you find yourself literally struggling to stay afloat because you have a real job to do, but maybe you're being told to use all these new AI features and you're like, I don't know what they are. How can I keep up? That's what I do for you on Fridays. So if you want the normal AI news, we're going to have that in the newsletter. So make sure you check that out. Go to our website at youreverydayai.com. All right. So a lot to cover. Obviously, the world's most powerful model with the new Fable 5 of the Mythos family. Some big releases from Google, Microsoft, some smaller ones from OpenAI too that I think will make a big difference. But let's just get straight into it. So I'm going to be sharing my screen for our live stream audience, but podcast audience, you're probably not missing too much, really just reading some from some release blogs and things like that. So first, yeah, we have the new top of the line AI model with Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5. So for the most part, you're probably going to be using Claude Fable 5. Let me explain. So Fable 5 is of the Mythos family. So Mythos Preview and Mythos 5, these are the models that are only available to Project Glasswing. So a select few enterprises. So basically no one, has access to the Mythos family models. But Anthropic, what they did is they released a version called Fable. So Fable is part of the Mythos family, and it sits on top of Haiku, Sonnet, Opus, and then you have your Mythos family. And Fable is essentially Mythos with guardrails that's safer. All right, so this was just released, and it is available for everyone now. So Fable 5 is the publicly available version. So in high-risk areas, though, like cybersecurity, biology, and chemistry, you can't use it. So yeah, in those instances, it's going to fall back to Claude Opus 4.8. There's been a lot of chatter about that in the first couple of days since Fable has been available. Anthropic has taken some hits on the chin because I think they didn't think this one through. Even if you're someone that is just a researcher, there's a lot of people showing examples of this. Couldn't even start a new chat with Fable 5, and you had entire organizations that couldn't, and they were paying for it. But hopefully Anthropic will get that figured out because the model is really good. But I think the safeguards were maybe a little too overzealous. So Microsoft as well. And yeah, I teased this one because I think it's actually important. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about it in Monday's show. But there's a lot of downsides to this model. So I actually covered them in yesterday's episode. So make sure you go listen to episode 796. I talked about the 4 big downsides of Mythos. And one of them is it has a mandatory 30-day data retention policy. That's not a joke. You can't opt out of this. So, as an example, Microsoft, which is a big financial investor in Claude or in Anthropic in the Claude models, right? So not only are they a financial investor, but they usually offer that to their customers via Microsoft Office. So reports said that Microsoft themselves stopped using the model for that very reason. And I talked about on yesterday's show about how, hey, if you're a large enterprise, you probably shouldn't be using it just for that. I do expect or would hope that Anthropic will pedal back on this, like they've I guess, clawed back some of the things with the safeguards. Yeah, I don't think they really thought this one out, especially with the 30-day retention policy, right? Goes against 0-day retention, HIPAA, everything. It's actually bonkers and wildly irresponsible of them to roll that out. But anyways, that doesn't change the fact that for everyone else, if you don't care about every single thing that you send to Claude, and every single thing it sends back to you being held for 30 days, and it can be reviewed by an actual human. If you don't care about that, which is the biggest red flag ever, I don't necessarily care, right? But probably if you're a big enterprise, I'm a small business owner. If you're a big enterprise, I wouldn't be touching it. But if you don't care, let's talk about what's cool and why it's useful. So Fable 5 is generally available right now to paid users on Claude.ai on the front end. If you're using Claude Desktop via the API, AWS, Amazon Bedrock, all the normal places, Vertex AI, Microsoft Foundry. Here's the other thing, though. It's only included in those plans through June 22nd. So if you are a normal Claude subscriber, so if you're on the $20 a month pro plan, or if you're on the $100 or $200 a month max plan or a team plan, yeah, at least right now, it's only going to be available through June 22nd. So Anthropic is hoping everyone just gets hooked on this and will then pay for it via the API. And it is expensive via the API. It is twice as expensive as Opus 4.8. But here's why the model is useful. I mean, it's really, really good. All right. Especially if you do anything with building 3D worlds, if you do anything with individual software engineering, coding, game, video development, any of those things, it's by far the best out there for individual. I think for certain individual outputs, individual artifacts, like if you're designing a website, Mythos is going to be by far the best, right? If you're needing to build a 3D world or a simulation, Mythos is by far the best. When it comes to knowledge work tasks, when it comes to long running, keeping the context, those things, I still don't think it's the best. I would still choose 5.5 Pro for that. But I mean, engineering teams are going to find it extremely valuable. Knowledge workers, if you are working in finance, data, research, anything like that, I think it's good. Also, if there's enterprises that are already standardized in AWS, Bedrock, Vertex, or Microsoft Foundry, you do have state-of-the-art best model in the world by most benchmarks available now. Again, if you don't mind handing literally everything over to Anthropic for 30 days and knowing that a human may review said everything. So yeah, pretty big consideration. Here's what Anthropic said about it. They said, today we're launching Claude Fable 5, a Mythos class model we've made safe for general use. Fable 5's capabilities exceed those of any model we've ever made generally available. It's state-of-the-art on nearly all tested benchmarks of AI capability, showing exceptional performance in software engineering, knowledge work, vision, scientific research, and many other areas. The longer and more complex the task, the larger Fable 5's lead over our other models. AI moves too fast to follow, but you're expected to keep up. Otherwise, your career or company might lag behind while AI native competitors leap ahead. But you don't have 10 hours a day to understand it all. That's what I do for you. But after 700 plus episodes of Everyday AI, the most common questions I get is, where do I start? That's why we created the Start Here series, an ongoing podcast series of more than a dozen episodes you can listen to in order. It covers the AI basics for beginners and sharpens the skills of AI champions pushing their companies forward. In the ongoing series, we explain complex trends in simple language that you can turn into action. There's 3 ways to jump in. Number 1, go scroll back to the first one in episode 691. Number 2, tap the link in your show notes at any time for the Start Here series, or you can just go to starthereseries.com, which also gives you free access to our Inner Circle community where you can connect with other business leaders doing the same. The Start Here series will slow down the pace of AI so you can get ahead. All right. So yeah, like I said, on most benchmarks, it took the cake, but not on all of them. On some important benchmarks, like the ability to keep context over a long period of time, it loses out. In terms of instruction following, it loses out. Anthropic's models are usually pretty bad at instruction following. Over some, there's a new benchmark that I think is actually really cool. If you've heard of humanities last exam, there's a new agents last exam. Didn't win out on that. 5.5 won out on that. So for the most part, one of the best models we've ever seen. Is it dangerous? Maybe, right? I think Anthropic wants you to think that. But for the most part, if you're an average user not working at a large enterprise, I highly suggest you use it. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So, overall, pretty good. All right, let's go next. Next, we have Gemini 3.5 Live. I think this could change how we all communicate. So here's what it is. It is a new audio model from Google for near real-time speech-to-speech translation across more than 70 languages. So it auto-detects the language that's being spoken, and it generates translated speech that preserves the speaker's intonation, their pacing and pitch, everything. So unlike turn-by-turn systems that wait for a speaker to finish, it actually translates continuously, staying only like a second or two behind, which is really cool. So right now it's available for developers through the Gemini Live API and inside Google's AI Studio. So yeah, you don't even have to be super technical. If you use Google's AI Studio, which I absolutely love and I use a lot, it's pretty easy to use. And it's also right now, which is cool, it's in preview for businesses who are using Google Meet, and also for all the users in the Google Translate app on Android and iOS. So yeah, the translate section has been available for a little bit longer, but in terms of this being like an actual model that you can go use inside Google's AI Studio, this is new. So why is it useful? Well, in Google Meet, that expands the languages you can talk to people from. I think before it was like a handful. Now it's more than 70. And from English only pairs to only 2,000 language combinations in a single meeting. So it kind of removes the awkward stop and wait rhythm of older translation apps because, like I said, it's only about a second and a half behind. And it works also in noisy environments, and it stays synced to the speaker without any lag. So the cool thing is, and actually just let me read this part here from Google. So they say, today we're taking our next steps with the release of Gemini 3.5 Live Translate, our latest audio model for live speech-to-speech translation. So it says the model automatically detects 70 plus languages and generates smooth, natural sounding translated speech that preserves the speaker's intonation, pacing, and pitch. Unlike turn-by-turn systems that wait for speaker to finish before responding, 3.5 Live translates generates speech continuously, balancing the trade-offs between waiting for context to improve quality and translating immediately to stay in sync with the speaker. So the cool thing that I like is it can translate speech. It processes speech as it's streamed. So the cool thing is, and I actually saw a live demo of this actually with someone on the Google team going over this. You can just choose something that you are watching in a tab. So, when you're using this model inside Google's AI Studio, you can literally select your input device as a tab that's open if you're using a Chrome browser. So let's say you're, watching a YouTube video, or you're watching a live stream, or maybe this actual podcast, right? Maybe you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn or something like that, and English isn't your preferred first language. So you will still be able to, you could check that as your tab. Let's say it's Spanish, and you'll still hear my kind of pacing. It's not my actual voice, so it doesn't do voice cloning, which is maybe a good thing. So it'll dub out with other voices, but it does it pretty much live, right? It's about a second or so delayed. Whereas most other translation apps, you have to wait until the speaker's done talking, which if you listen to this podcast, it's like never. I don't stop talking, right? So that's really cool. And I mean, when I first heard it, I heard multiple people speaking other languages, not English, right? And it translated everything to English as other people were speaking different languages to each other. So really cool. It's definitely worth checking out. And I do think in theory, this might be one of those things that could change the way that the world communicates. So I think who's going to find it valuable? I mean, if you're a global team running multilingual meetings or customer calls, this is a no-brainer. Also, if you're traveling, right, to be able to use this in the app, that's huge. Also, developers building voice translation into apps, no brainer. This was an extremely impressive model from Google. All right, let's get to some smaller updates you might have missed. So next, let's go to interactive charts. Pretty cool update here from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT can now turn some answers into rich, interactive bar, line, pie, and scatter charts directly into the conversation. So you can ask for a chart, or ChatGPT can just maybe add one on its own when it pulls in relevant data that goes with your query. So at any time, you can switch any interactive chart back to a static image if you want, or other chart types that are returned. You can go back as static images. So this is available now to any ChatGPT user, and it's bundled in the same update as some others that we're going to get to, but as full screen writing edits, table of contents for long chats, and editing messages with attachments. So I mean, here's why it's useful. Well, it's going to make your experience in ChatGPT a lot better. So I do wish some of these things had a toggle, because I don't think the average user will know this. So like I said, at times ChatGPT will invoke this on its own, but in other times you can ask, right? So let's say you're doing some research about, I don't know, benchmarks for AI models, right? And there's, throughout the course of a long response from ChatGPT, there's kind of some scattered stats, right? So in that case, you can ask ChatGPT for an interactive chart to make it a little bit easier to digest. So actually, I think Google has been a leader in this space. Anthropic had a similar feature that they rolled out, but I love this feature in Google's AI mode. It kind of has that interactive canvas. So pretty cool. I like that this came out with ChatGPT as well. So in terms of why it's useful, I mean, that's simple. So it turns just large blocks of text, or if you upload your own data, it can do that as well. So it just turns it into visuals without having to leave the chat or exporting anything to a spreadsheet to, generate those charts. You can save them as well. And it just lets you kind of eyeball trends and data and comparisons in line instead of just having to read them through text. For someone like me, this is big. And this is why I like all the visualizations. Like I love Claude artifacts. I love Gemini Canvas. ChatGPT got rid of their dedicated canvas mode, which kind of stinks. It's still kind of there through something they call writing blocks, but it's not as easy to invoke as it used to be when Canvas was just a dedicated button. So I kind of miss and wish that OpenAI didn't make this change with Canvas, or even in this case with the interactive charts. Sometimes I think users want to be able to click something and to get this versus knowing, oh, I can just ask for it. I know in theory, it makes it better to not have to click a button, but I would say 99% of users have no clue something like Canvas or these writing blocks or these interactive charts exist in ChatGPT, except the times when it brings it up on its own. So pretty cool update there from OpenAI. All right, so let's go next. We have a completely new, improved, rebuilt from scratch Microsoft Copilot Studio. So here's what's new. This is hot off the presses. It is a rebuilt, revamped, and updated Copilot Studio with a streamlined authoring experience and a more modern AI core. So this kind of goes along with the update that Microsoft made just to Microsoft Copilot, the actual chat experience. So now the studio, which is kind of their builders playground, just for non-developers, it's no code, low code. All right, so this got a complete facelift and rebuilt from the ground up as well. So Microsoft says it's strengthened how agents also follow instructions and handle complex multi-step tasks for more consistent results. So it's more than just a kind of a rebrand or a refresh. It is just rebuilt in even how it works. Another big update is this also works with the new Microsoft IQ, which is just how your data, your company's data follows you around the Microsoft 365 Copilot ecosystem. And that's now generally available as well. So who has access to this? Well, everyone, because this is also generally available worldwide and it is ready for production use. So it's aimed, though, at makers and admins who are building agents on the Power Platform or the Copilot Studio stack. And this rolls out into existing Copilot Studio environments rather than as a separate product, which is probably a good thing. So, well, why is it useful? Because I think it targets the most common failure mode, which is agents breaking down partway through multi-step work. So kind of the secondary coverage, the new orchestrator reports that Microsoft citing roughly 20% better evaluation performance with this new version and about 50% lower net token usage in the upgraded AI stack, plus the new redesigned workflows in the visual designer. So who's going to find this useful? Well, if you are the one in charge of building agents, inside of Copilot Studio, obviously you will likely enjoy this. Or if you went into Copilot Studio in the past and you're like, I don't know why something with the UI UX isn't adding up for me, I'm finding it a little more difficult. I think this new authoring experience might help you. So obviously, aside from that, enterprise IT and ops teams who are deploying agents are going to really like this, and just low code makers and business analysts who are building internal workflows inside of Copilot or Copilot Studio. So here's what Microsoft says about it. They said, starting now, customers can dive into the rebuilt, revamped Microsoft Copilot Studio. The new streamlined authoring experience and modern AI core make it easier to build agents and workflows that deliver more consistent and reliable outcomes. Teams can move faster and create solutions that hold up better in real world use. So the big thing they said is we're making it easier to create agents that work the way you expect from the start. We've strengthened how agents follow instructions and handle complex tasks, leading to more consistent results for your business scenarios. The new building experience streamlines Copilot Studio to bring essential configurations to the forefront, reducing configuration tabs from 9 to 4. So yeah, just less clicking around, just an overall better UI UX for building these agents. Also, they say the new experience includes a new agentic orchestrator, a new agent building interface, and support for skills, right? So yeah, that one is big, especially if you are using Claude, if you're using Codex skills, if you're using skills in, I don't know, for the few people who are using like anti-gravity 2.0 out there, right? For anyone that's using skills, this is a great way to be able to bring those in and work with your pre-approved tech stack. So next, all right, this one kind of niche, but I really like it. All right, so this is actually a new plugin or a new connector for Claude from HeyGen called Hyperframes. So Hyperframes itself is not new. All right, they announced this back in April, and Hyperframes itself is just an open source HTML, the video framework. But now this is just being released as a Claude connector. And I think this is actually a good time to talk about it because it kind of went viral because a lot of people with Fable, when Fable was released, they found out, wait, this is actually something Fable is really, really good at using this new connector. So people were showing off all these really cool videos that were just edited with, well, Claude and the new Hyperframes connector for Claude. So like I said, this is now an official Claude connector just released hours ago that converts essentially harnesses Claude's reasoning power into video content, right? So HeyGen, obviously a very popular AI video editing platform. So now they're bringing their hyperframes technology, which I think is really cool, into Claude. So you can use Claude's brain to create videos without really knowing anything about video editing. So Hyperframes is an open source HeyGen tool that turns prompts, specs, and documents into code-first composable scenes that renders shareable MP4s that are then usable in Claude and Claude Code. So this is pretty cool. Like I said, it runs with the Claude connector via MCP, but it lets you generate, anything you can think of. So if you don't have a video editing team, but you can sit in front of a camera like me, and maybe that's why I'm excited about this one. And I know that has been available in Codex, but the downside with Codex is it only has 5.5x high, right? And the best model, I will still argue, probably 1A, 1B would be the new kind of Mythos, Siri, and Fable with 5.5 Pro. One thing, maybe I should talk about this more. People don't understand when you look at all these benchmarks, no one benchmarks 5.5 Pro. Maybe number one, because it's too expensive, but most people just don't use it. I still think 5.5 Pro for a lot of my multi-step, prompts that require calling multiple tools, all these things. I still think it's better than Fable 5, but you can't have that in Codex. So that's why I don't think I've really used this new HeyGen plugin inside Codex, because it could really benefit from like 5.5 Pro, which is why I'm excited for this Claude connector, because you can use it with the new Fable 5 model. So I'll probably be testing that out, or I'll actually have Codex. Yeah, I've been having Codex run my Fable like around the clock. It just checks every hour how much usage do I have left on my $200 Claude plan, and if I still have anything left, Codex controls Claude Code and it just builds me stuff, and I just look at what it built. So this is one I'm going to add to the list now to see if it can generate any cool videos with this new feature. So who's going to find it valuable? Number one, if you're already a video editor and you just need to do some more cuts and you don't have time, I think that's it. But anyone who's making training videos, sales video, customer supports, content creators, marketers, or if you're just a developer that feels good working with agents, but you're not necessarily a video editing creative, I think this is going to be a big one as well. All right. Two more quick ones for you next. A new one that really slipped under the radar. And I think this is because it's a Microsoft Copilot, but I only think this is available right now, Copilot Online. So not Microsoft 365 Copilot that most people use. So if you have a paid Copilot Online subscription like I do, this is available. So I actually didn't even see an announcement post from this. I was just having some agents, right? To plan for this show, I have a bunch of agents that go and do work. And it actually saw this new feature on its own. I didn't see it announced literally anywhere, but when I checked last week, it wasn't there, and it's available this week. So this was rumored or leaked back in February. Haven't seen anything since until this week. So here's what's new, at least if you have a Copilot Online. And I think this is pretty cool. It's the new Microsoft Copilot team of advisors. So this is a roundtable of AI-generated advisor voices that appear on screen when you ask a question, and each one has a distinct perspective, area of expertise, and way of reasoning. So the advisors challenge, build on, and rethink off each other in real time, which is really cool, working toward a fuller conclusion rather than handing back one answer. So this is cool. It's this multi-voice panel. So not just like right. So obviously you might be thinking of something like the audio overviews from Notebook LM, which are amazing. And I actually have a live version of that you can jump in and talk with the two hosts on the deep dive, but this is a little different. So let me read what Microsoft says. So they say, team of advisors brings together a roundtable of AI generated voices to help you explore ideas from different angles. Ask a question and a panel of AI advisors appear on screen, each with a different perspective, each ready to challenge, build on, or rethink the others in real time. Every advisor brings a distinct way of reasoning, a different area of expertise, and a unique point of view. This isn't an ordinary chat. It's a panel of AI advisors thinking together, questioning one another, and working toward a fuller, more grounded conclusion. Whether you're considering a decision, generating ideas, organizing complex information, or trying to see a problem from a new angle, team of advisors help you explore more possibilities with clarity and confidence. These advisors are designed to spark insight, surface alternatives, and support your thinking, not to replace human expertise. The advisors you see on screen are generated by AI. Their perspectives are meant to help you reflect, compare interpretations, and consider possibilities. So, this is really cool. And I mean, who has access? So, yes, this is an experiment right now, but I do believe anyone that has Copilot online, this is available now. If you look under the experiences tab, and if you have Copilot Labs enabled, so you don't have to be on a wait list as long as you have a Copilot online account. Not Microsoft 365 Copilot, Copilot online. So, like a personal account, it should be available for you now. So I think this is great, right? And what's cool is they have these pre-built, kind of these pre-built experiences. I'm looking through, like they have historical figures roundtable, which is cool to talk with people from the past, a product discussion roundtable, brand naming workshop, lifestyle exploration. So it's not like you have to go give personas to the handful of advisors that are going to be on there. They have these ones pre-built, which I think is a smart move. And it looks like they have about a dozen different ones, so I named some of them, but they have ones on relationship topics, startup idea clinics, business watch room, general decision making. So, they essentially have some good templates set up and ready to go. I might do an episode on this. I don't know. I'm going to have to test a little bit more, but I think it could be fun. All right. And last, this one again might seem small, but my gosh, I like this one. And why didn't we have this like 6 to 9 months ago? All right. This one, sending emails in ChatGPT. Yes. We've had ChatGPT connectors. You've been able to draft an email, and there used to be a button that you could click, right? Like Claude has this, that you can click and it'll open said draft in Gmail. Now you can literally send emails inside ChatGPT. And that may sound like a nothing burger to a lot of people, but if you're someone that, like me, I get spammed so much, right? And then I miss out on emails I actually need to be reading and responding to. And the cool thing is you can go through and edit this as well. So this is a great way, especially when I have these long threads, right? I have these long threads with, 30 30 back and forth, and I forget because I have dozens of these and I suck at email. And I use ChatGPT and Claude a lot to go through my email. So this is actually cool. So I can, the cool thing is it has that writing block. So you can actually go in there and edit. So you can have ChatGPT go through, be like, hey, what are my emails waiting on the response? It's going to tell you, be like, hey, give it your 3 bullet points that you want it. It's going to type up an email. You can click edit to make sure that it's correct how you want it, and then just click send. So if you're connected to Gmail or Outlook, you can now ask ChatGPT to draft and send emails directly from the same conversation. So the drafting and inline editing happen in the new writing blocks feature. So like I said, that's the thing that kind of replaced the Canvas dedicated toggle. So now writing blocks are something, if you're asking about emails, usually they're always going to automatically open in a writing block. If not, just ask for a writing block. And then that new step is then being able to hit send. So there's literally, if you're watching the live stream version here, you see it on this tweet that I have up, but it literally has a send button and then it sends. So you obviously have to already authorize this in your email. So, if you only gave it read-only access inside the Gmail or Outlook connector, you would have to go in and enable write access. And if you're on a Teams plan, right, your administrator would have to enable that kind of step or that tool call as well. So right now, it's only available for paid subscribers, all right? And it's on the web only. So it's web only right now, not on the mobile app yet. But I do think that they're going to be rolling that out pretty soon. So, I mean, why is this useful? Well, if you're someone that uses ChatGPT to go through your emails to help you triage, prioritize, go through long threads like me, I think you're going to find it immediately useful. And then you can obviously highlight any line, request targeted changes, and then accept or reject edits without copying anything, right? So no more. I've gone through this before, right? Sometimes when you copy and paste things, it's weird formatting. It's just background, right? That it has all these crazy indents. Got to the point where I'd be doing these things and I'd have to paste them into a text edit, stripped all the formatting. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, I could have just written this myself. So this is actually really nice. Again, small quality of life feature that if you're just spending all week playing with Fable, you'd probably miss some of these smaller things in ChatGPT that I think might make a big difference. All right. That is a wrap for this week, y'all. But I'm telling you, it might have seemed a little lighter on features, but I think the AI world knew and expected that Anthropic's Fable 5 was coming out. So presumably so. It was a lighter week on other features, right? There were some Codex features that I decided not to even go over. I thought they were pretty cool for developers, but not for everyone else. That'll be in the newsletter today. But I do expect next week is going to be a big one, next week and the week after, because presumably we're either going to be seeing the super app announcement from OpenAI, maybe GPT 5.6, which I expect to be at Fable 5 levels, or we might see Gemini 3.5 Pro, again, at Fable levels. So hot AI summer might have taken a brief pause, at least when it came to releases not named Fable 5 this week. But I guarantee you next week on this show, there's going to be a ton of big ones. So thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it not only helps me do this for you, but it also helps other people, other non-technical business leaders find the podcast and hopefully help them. I want to continue to do this as long as possible. Got some thunder alerts going off. So thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.